Welcome to my channel today. We are going to make a wonderful simple card that doesn't take much supplies. We're going to use watercolor paper, Picket Fence Studio Field of Snowy Tree stencil, which I'm going to tape down onto my mat. You can also use a cutting board to tape down. You just need a good surface to be able to tape down your watercolor. And then we're going to use this Crayola watercolor pack that doesn't cost very much. You could probably find it at Target or Walmart. We'll be using the brush that's actually in there. And these first two palettes, there's actually 3 palettes in the set. So this little set here should be able to take you a far ways in watercoloring if you're like me and you just don't watercolor very often. And it also allows you to see if you really like to watercolor. And then I just have a little home kitchen cup that I use normally in the bathroom. It's just a paper cup that's disposable that I put some water in. And we are going to make a little scene. I think what's great about this card is you could make lots of Christmas cards, a batch of Christmas cards using this, have a beautiful outcome, and not spend a lot of money in making those cards, or a lot of time. But you also could use this, as I'm going to, for a thank you card. I think it's important when even my in-laws give me gifts for Christmas that I send a little thank you card to them. I know that they're my family. I send one to my mother as well as any other relative or friend that is so thoughtful to give me a gift at that time. So I just really think that's an important thing to do. Now, when you go to watercolor, there is 2 sides to this watercolor paper. There's a soft side as well as a textured side. I decided to use the textured side to put the color down because trees have texture to them, so I didn't want a smooth look. How I'm going to do this is it doesn't look very pretty right now, but I can continue to build my color. I can continue to add water to the palette. I can go back, and I'm just going to take my time and fill in each one of these areas with the green. And wherever I feel I need more color, then I will add that color to it. What I like about this card is it is going to come together and look like a Christmas display in a Christmas store. You know, when you wander down the aisles, I love to be able to go into the stores at Christmas and see all the decorations and all the trees up. And oftentimes they'll have lots of different colored Christmas trees. So this card, to me, is going to be that Christmas display that you see that really makes you smile and just brings joy into your heart. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit as we color these trees, but I will be using different colors in this palette. I will be going back and forth, filling in anywhere that I think I might need a darker color. I'm not using a ton of water to put the color down. It is okay if some of the color goes just a little bit under the stencil. It's fine. It still makes a gorgeous result. In between colors, I like to wet the brush and then wipe it off with my microfiber cloth. If you don't have a microfiber cloth in your craft room, you definitely need one. They come in so handy for so many different things. And you're going to see that I'm going to pick up the light green and add that to the tree in the back. And I'm going to use an array of colors as we make this card. So sit back, enjoy some Christmas music, relax, and see how this all comes together. Now peel away the stencil and see your beautiful Christmas tree display. Isn't it gorgeous? I love all the colors. It's just bright, it's cheery, and it's unique. And now you can set this aside to dry. It only needs to dry about an hour. I didn't use much water with it, so it should dry quickly. You can reproduce this over and over, Or you can take your stencil and wash it off. It comes off quickly. Set that aside and let's see how the cards turned out. Now I decided to use craft cardstock as my card base because of the ivory watercolor cardstock. I thought it just blended well when the recipient opened the card. It gave me a space to write on the card. You'll notice this is thick, so you'll want to put it down with a double-sided adhesive tape to ensure that it stays on the card. And one of the reasons I left this just the way it is because I just think it's beautiful. I am going to add a sentiment, which you will see shortly, on my finished product. But when you add a sentiment on watercolor, you probably want to use the Misty because it requires you to stamp it several times to get a good impression because of the watercolor paper. But I just love the scene and how simple this is. And if you have any hanging over the edge, just trim it off with your scissors. It works out just perfectly. So I love this card. The other card, I'm going to take out my trimmer and I'm going to trim that down on both sides where I can because I plan to put this on some green cardstock and leave it all by itself on the front of the card with no sentiment. So let's see. Here are the creations, one with a sentiment and no background, one with a background and no sentiment. I hope you've enjoyed learning this technique. I hope you'll try it out. Let me know in the comments below. And I will see you next time when I show you how to use the same picket fence stencil to make a totally different looking card. See you then.